We have some breaking news. The Toronto Maple Leafs have made yet another move, this time acquiring a very interesting forward. And a bit of a surprising turn of events here. Brad Treliving continues to remain active. But what's surprising is not the fact that he made the move, but the player that they have acquired. We're going to break down the exact player, discuss what this means going forward, as well as what else is to come for Brad Treliving on a very, very busy Canada Day. Before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. You guys have been absolute beasts with the support. Also, once again, happy Canada Day to everyone out there. It's a crazy busy day, and free agency opens up on Canada Day. So if you're in Canada and you're celebrating, happy Canada Day. Darius, a lot to go over. I mean, we had a video 30 minutes ago, and it was some interesting things have happened since then. And of course, that video is very much still relevant surrounding one particular player. But let's focus in on a move that the Leafs just quite literally made, and it is Michael Pazetta. Bob McKenzie coming out of, I mean, he is not washed. He is breaking news at the, even though he's retired. Toronto closing in on Michael Pazetta. Of course, played for Montreal last year. 2-year deal for nothing, essentially. $775,000 year one, $800,000 year two. So Darius, breaking news here. I mean, at the end of the day, they got the guy we discussed in the video earlier, but also been discussing for a little bit. Shout out to, I believe it was Pierre LeBrun, who had this, yesterday or the day before, saying the Leafs were closing in, or not the Leafs were closing in, the Leafs were interested. Michael Pazetta, now his point total is 0 over 25 games last year, but they're bringing him in for a very specific role here at a very small cap hit. Not a good player, but he does a couple things that I think in certain matchups, Craig Berube wanted a guy like this. Basically a kind of a version of Ryan Reeves that can actually skate and catch up to people to hit them.
Yeah, I mean, he's not maybe not Ryan Reeves exactly, but he can definitely skate, right? And he's a former Sudbury Wolf. He's, from the area as well, former Montreal Canadian. But I think it's very interesting that, if you want point production from this guy, you are quite literally going to find 0 of it, right? Because he did not put up any points last season and played, a small sample size with the Montreal Canadiens. And he's not going to play in every game. Keep that in mind too. And the contract is pretty decent. It's actually a lot less than I thought it was going to be for Michael Pazetta and what was rumored out there and some of the things we were hearing yesterday. But it's a little bit less. It's essentially league minimum for 2 years. You have him for 2 years. So I think that, in that way, you know exactly what you're going to get with him. He's consistent with what he brings to the lineup. So to have him for 2 years is not that bad because you're signing him for what he brings to the lineup. And what that is he's going to get in there on the forecheck. He's going to be a pest. His hit totals from the last couple of years, that is probably the reason the Leafs signed him, just for what he brings to the table in terms of how many hits he throws. And the fact that, maybe you put him in the playoffs, he can do the same thing, but he's going to wear other teams down. So I do like this move for that. And the fact that it's basically league minimum, I mean, it does seem fine to me. So again, you're not going to get any point production out of him, but he's going to do exactly what he's good at, and he's going to do it consistently. And I think that that's a good thing. And he also brings fantastic flow to the table. His hair is fantastic. So he's going to be doing all of that in style as well. But all in all, I think it's a pretty decent signing for the Leafs. We know exactly what he's going to bring to the table. He's also not going to play every single game. So I do think it is a pretty good signing in that way. He is the definition of a role player, especially on this team.
Yeah, I mean, he, talking to some Habs fans, like, he is not a very good skilled hockey player in that regard. I think for what the Leafs are going to use him for, 30, 40 games a year, probably, maybe even max, depending. I mean, maybe he find like there is a world where he figures it out. He's 27 years old and not figures it out to be a second line or anything like that, but right. He could be a valuable fourth line contributor. He hits, he blocks a ton of shots, he takes some really bad penalties, but also draws penalties, and was actually good this year with possession and chance suppression. So I think they clearly see something in him, and for $775,000, this doesn't affect their flexibility basically at all. And this allows them to continue to go out. You basically shore up. I assume this is going to maybe, be a fourth line guy to pair with Steven Lorentz and somebody else. Like, it kind of makes some sense there. We know the identity of that fourth line fits in pretty well. Like, maybe he does what you mentioned. It's not the same necessarily as Ryan Reeves. I think there's some world here where we actually see some sort of upside for him. And reportedly, they were drawn to Michael Pazetta for his physical game. He recorded 73 hits in 25 games last year with the Canadiens, and he led Montreal in hits for 2 straight years before that and finished second in 2021, 2022. He's only 28. Like, it's not like he's a 35-year-old who they're giving $78,700, $100,000, whatever it ends up being. However, they desperately need some more scoring. And the scary part, I guess, a little bit here is we know scoring in the bottom 6 was a big issue last year. Still remains a bit of an issue. You add Nicholas Waugh, who's assuming is going to be the third-line center. You can hope there. They need to add more scoring to just the team in general, the top 6. But I think this might set up for even a bigger potential either trade or free agency move, because I think it's very telling that their first step of business here was locking up Pazetta for very, very cheap, which essentially is negligible as it pertains to making big signings, because they can make other things work with Cal Yarncrook and things like that. And I think that's something to note here is I think bigger moves, and I'm pretty confident bigger moves are coming either in the form of a trade with the cap, maybe even free agency like Mikael Granlund, like we discussed earlier on.
And I'll say it again, he's not going to play in every single game. So you're not going to be relying upon him to be in the bottom six every single game to be scoring. Because like you said, in the playoffs, the bottom six needs to be more active. And I think that they will. And I think that they're not done building it. There are more moves coming, and getting Pazetta at league minimum essentially was a good move. I think that, it's low risk is what I'm trying to say for what he brings to the lineup. And they wanted more of that in the bottom of the lineup, just guys who have a motor and are just going to be pests. And, just from the eye test, you brought up the advanced analytics there, and that's actually very encouraging that he brings more to the table. Because again, I think they signed him mostly for what he brings in terms of hitting, forechecking, all of those things. But there is some use to him while he's on the ice, defensively as well as some of these things. He's not like the best player or anything like that. And again, he's not going to play every single game. Keep that in mind. But, on the other side of things too, I think that they're not done. They're going to be making some more moves. You throw this guy into the lineup here and there, as the season goes on, maybe even in the playoffs, early on in the playoffs, in a playoff series to kind of wear down the other team could be interesting. And from the eye test, again, just mentioned the analytics, from the eye test, every time the Leafs played the Canadians, I noticed Michael Pazetta. And again, I don't think it was just because of the hair. I feel like he was a bit of a pest, right? So he was mixing it up. He's throwing hits. He's being physical, all of these things. So I did notice Michael Pazetta when the Leafs were playing the Montreal Canadiens. So if he can be that for the Toronto Maple Leafs when they're playing another team and he's kind of mixing it up, Austin Matthews is maybe not free to do whatever he wants, but maybe less attention. The game's getting kind of out of hand because he's, things are spiking in terms of physicality. And Matthews and these guys can take advantage and score some goals and get into it themselves. Because, once one person starts doing it, it's contagious. We saw Lorentz, he starts throwing hits. We saw Nye starts throwing hits. Everybody starts throwing hits, right? So guys like this are contagious. So I like the move, low risk. There is a world where this turns out absolutely horribly, but I just don't think it does. And he was in the lineup for the Canadians who made the playoffs.
Yeah, and I don't think horribly in the sense of he doesn't play well, possibly, but like it's $775,000. At the worst case, they just let him go. Also, he's had some decent years, like 15 points, 12 points. It doesn't sound like a lot, but like that'd be fine for the fourth line, given what he brings. If he can kind of get back to that, what he had the year before last year, maybe he could become a valuable player. He's not going to score, though. He had a career high of 7 goals. If you get 7 goals from him, if we get 7 goals from Michael Pazetta this year, we'll be over the moon. But let us know down below what your thoughts are on that. He is valuable in certain spots against certain teams. And this is the first of many moves to come. And we're going to continue to break the latest news for you all. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, let us know down below what your thoughts are on this surprising signing. And first, again, of many more to come for Brad Treliving.